See, that's why.
Justin, who's recording today?
That,
Is that?
Justin's.
That's yours?
It's mine, but it will be the township.
Is that the one Linda Collins had the other night?
No, it is
She's
not.
got the same setup.
She's got a different, all different one.
Okay,
Alright.
so is this, that's township recording, or it's your personal?
Correct, it's the town, it'll be the township's copy.
Okay.
Okay, it is 10 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the emergency meeting of the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District, Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Roll call.
Ballhead,
Paroli here. If I could have everybody stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we only have two items on the agenda. The first one and the main reason for the meeting tonight is we have a couple of administrative functions of the township that are kind of unavailable with the absence of a zoning inspector. We had a lot split that came up, was actually approved in November of last year, was signed off by the board previously and the zoning inspector at the time. The county has since kicked it back. They had some deed restrictions that they wanted to add after the split was set up, and so in order to facilitate getting that done, it does need to be signed by the township. The way that the county process works is every township kind of sets their own requirements. Our zoning code doesn't spell out anything for lot splits, so it's whatever the township tells the county is the requirement. You know, for example, there are townships where you know, the zoning inspector alone signs off on them. Some of them have a requirement where the trustees approve them in certain, you know, 2 trustees and the zoning inspector. You know, we've previously had the township do 1 trustee and, or 2 trustees and the zoning inspector previously had signed off. So this particular split got tied up and is we basically can't address facilitating these types of administrative functions without notifying the town or the county that we're changing who's able to sign off. So the first resolution that I have for consideration for today is a resolution temporarily modifying lot split signature authorization due to zoning inspector vacancy and declaring an emergency. I'll just read it here. It's whereas the Lafayette Township's zoning resolution establishes zoning standards and procedures but is silent as to the specific township officials required to sign lot splits or minor subdivision plats submitted to Medina County. And whereas Medina County currently requires lot split plats to be signed by the township zoning inspector and 2 township trustees based on historical administrative practice. And whereas Lafayette Township is currently without a zoning inspector and there is no fixed time frame for the appointment of a permanent replacement. And whereas the absence of a zoning inspector has prevented the timely processing of at least 1 lot split request, resulting in an extended delay to a township resident through no fault of the applicant. And whereas lot split approval is an administrative certification of zoning compliance and does not involve a variance, rezoning, or waiver of any zoning standard. And whereas the Board of Trustees has a duty to ensure that the township administrative processes remain functional, fair, and timely while continuing to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Lafayette Township Trustees, Medina County, Ohio, that Section 1, temporary authorization. During the period in which the position of zoning inspector is vacant, the Board of Township Trustees hereby authorizes any 2 trustees of the board to sign lot split or minor subdivision plats on behalf of the township in lieu of the zoning inspector, provided that the proposed split is otherwise fully compliant with all applicable zoning requirements. Section 2, no waiver of zoning standards. Nothing in this resolution shall be considered to waive, alter, or suspend any zoning regulation, minimum lot size, frontage requirement, or other standard contained in the Lafayette Township zoning resolution. Section 3, limited duration. The authorization shall remain in effect only until a duly appointed zoning inspector assumes office, at which time the prior administrative process shall resume, unless otherwise modified by formal action of the board. Section 4, emergency declaration. This resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public convenience and welfare in order to prevent unreasonable administrative delay and hardship to township residents caused by the vacancy of the zoning inspector position. Effective date, Section 5, the resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. And then I would go ahead and make the motion to approve Resolution 2026-19.
Before we do anything,
Yeah.
Jay, the prosecution came to us when you asked for clarification to say that we as a board had no authority to act as a zoning inspector and to sign
Correct.
anything. With that, I had a look at some of the revised code, and the revised code does stipulate that we don't have the authority to amend the resolution of the zoning code, and that in order to do so, there is a process which needs to go through the zoning commission. Did our resolution go to the zoning commission to have a review of it?
This doesn't affect the zoning resolution.
But we're changing the law on our
We're
zoning though.
we're not. It's the zoning. Our zoning resolution does not address lot split certification or process in any way, shape, or form. It's solely administrative function.
But we don't carry that authority, because that's what the prosecution said, that we weren't even allowed to sign the permits for them, were we?
That's not what the prosecution said. The prosecutor's opinion was that we could not act as the zoning inspector. And then as far as the permit and certification process goes, you are correct in that the zoning resolution itself puts that authority within the zoning inspector, so we would have to have a zoning inspector. That's the second item on the list that we can discuss, but we would have to have a zoning inspector to sign the actual permit, because you are correct. The trustees, because of the way our resolution is written, the trustees lack any authority to vest that power in anybody other than the zoning inspector. So if we were trying to take the permit process and modify that in any way, shape, or form, it would be a code change. As it stands, because there's no discussion of the lot split process and it's purely administrative function, it falls into the same category as like the fees and that structure, where we can modify the zone and have modified the fee structure within the zoning code simply by resolution. We've done it in each of the last 2 or 3 years, where the board has reviewed the fee structure, make sure it's in line with what makes the most sense, and then modified it accordingly. So you're correct. If it was a change to the actual zoning resolution, it would require a much more significant process. This is solely for facilitating, the signing of lot splits, which is just a simple certification process.
So then if, because I just want to protect township on things,
Yeah,
so if we were to go ahead and sign this, would there be any legal repercussions? Would the resident then have someone say that lot split was not done legally at any point, and then could then potentially never be able to sell on because of the legal process not being followed? I just want to make sure that we're not crossing that and then putting the resident in a situation where they then have more problems down the road.
So to address both of those concerns, I guess the potential for legal challenge, there's really nothing that can be done to insulate completely from that. There's always the possibility. The lot split process ultimately is certified by the county. All we're doing here is changing what was previously, at least according to the county, what was previously set as an administrative requirement that Lafayette Township have the zoning inspector and 2 trustees sign off. So for some context, in trying to solve this problem short term, I did reach out to a couple of the other townships with how they process things. So for example, Medina Township with their lot splits, and again, theirs isn't addressed in their code, it's an administrative process as well. For residential lot splits, it's a zoning inspector only process. Their zoning inspector is the only one that signs off on residential lot splits. However, for commercial lot splits, the zoning inspector doesn't sign off at all, and they have a 2 trustee requirement that's done at their meetings. So it isn't, Yeah, I mean, it isn't modifying the code, and it's solely to be able to facilitate this being done. Now, again, if you're not comfortable with it, I mean, I guess we don't have to pass this, but in the interim, there's,
I know it's unfair for the resident, I know, they want to move things forward. I guess then the next question then is do we have an interim zoning inspector who could sign off on it then?
potentially, we're waiting for the prosecutor's office to get back to us on clearing any potential conflict or incompatibility in offices. In the process of discussing with other zoning inspectors, most of the other zoning inspectors around the township or county were a little bit hesitant just in the limited scope of assistance that we would need. As we've discussed, the zoning inspector position is posted. We've already received 3 applicants. I would imagine, based on schedules, we'll be able to start doing some interviews probably within the next week or 2, if not sooner, and have the position filled permanently. It's just holding up some things that were kind of left pending from the end of the year. So the where I was going with to your question about the interim zoning inspector, we put it to our zoning department and to members of the township. Nobody was really interested in stepping up to be the one that signs off on those. Yesterday, Denise Testa from County Planning Department, she offered to fill in a temporary basis just to sign off on, to be able to sign off on the permits. I was hoping to get an answer back from the prosecutor's office on the compatibility or any potential conflict issues there, but we haven't received an answer on that yet. So I'm not sure that that's something that we want to address just yet.
Okay. And there's no one on the board, on the zoning boards, who are willing to step aside temporarily to act as the interim?
Nobody has stepped up to do so yet, no.
I would just like it if we can go back to the prosecution and just double check that the protection is on us then to go forward with this.
Okay.
Just so that we make sure we're doing this the right way, so that we protect. Because I would hate it if I was a resident and someone challenged me legally later on and said that it wasn't done correctly, and then they're unable to sell it or do what they want to do with it in the long term.
Okay. Well, then those are the only items that I had on the agenda for today. So I guess we won't take any action until we hear back from the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?
It is 10:13. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion is adjourned, or meeting is adjourned at 10:13.
Question for you, Justin and
Yeah.
Carrie, because I'm the property owner.
Oh, hey, sorry.
Yeah. So, quick review, because I know you're only like a week on the job. So, I've been dealing with this process for about 8 months. It's been complete hell. Now I realize it's not necessarily the township's fault. There's a lot involved, right? There's the tax maps, there's the county health department, there's Lafayette Township, there's planning commission, the list goes on. And unfortunately, in my experience, the different departments in the county do not talk to each other. And when you do talk to one individual, you get a different answer, when you talk to the next person, right? I talked to Denise twice in the last 24 hours, once last night, and again, 10 minutes ago. Couple things, she just emailed me as well. She said, hey, tax maps is backing off on what they're requiring, okay? If we can get the trustees to sign the survey. So initially it took the previous trustees a couple months to sign. Why? I don't know. They said they lost the paperwork. I don't know who lost it, right? I don't know if it was trustees, previous zoning inspector, it doesn't really matter, right? But it took 2 months. So fast forward to the end of the year, engineer said, hey, we want to make this a little bit more restrictive. We don't want to put a driveway in the corner of Ballish Road and Chippewa Lake because it will be unsafe, which I completely disagree with. I think that's just an opinion. There's green space there. I don't see why it would make it less safe to have a driveway there. I get there's an S-curve there, but there's literally green space there protecting any driveway, right? So I just folded, right? I said, hey, I'll jump through your hoops. I'll pay the surveyor the extra money. I'll get the trustees to sign this. Surely they'll sign this because there's only 3 sentences that says, hey, we can't put a driveway right there in the corner. Surely they'll sign this without dragging this on, right? Because we want to bring common sense back to government, common sense back to America. But here we are. I'm just simply looking for signatures that says, hey, this lot split can go through, right? It's more restrictive. I'm not asking to make it less restrictive, right? So the previous trustees have already signed off. They've agreed to this. So I just need the current trustees to sign off, and then I'm out of your hair.
Well, okay, 2 things I want to add real quick. One, we did technically close, we did close the meeting. All of the recordings are running, and I'm going to leave them running, just so that it is open. The one clarification that I would add is there's no approval process with a lot split. Just so that everybody's comfortable or aware of what it is. When a property owner wants to split a parcel, as long as the parcel, the remaining parcels after the split comply with legal lot size and minimum frontage, the trustees have no authority to offer or impose any discretion. It's simply a certifying that yes, it meets the code, no, it doesn't. So we would actually be violating property owners' rights and exposing the township to additional liability should we refuse to sign a split. So it isn't there's no value judgment anywhere by any of the elected officials. It's solely a certification process. So I did want to kind of point that out. And at the same time, like I said, we are kind of outside of a meeting per se, so I don't know. I don't want to put Trustee Villar on the spot if she doesn't want to comment further. She doesn't have to by any stretch of the imagination. As you mentioned, the lot split had originally come in November of last year. Actually, it might have even been earlier than that, but the actual signatures, I know Trustee Fullerton and myself signed off on it. I don't remember if Trustee O'Neill signed, and the zoning inspector at the time, Sherry Meinke, had all signed off in November. We thought that was kind of done deal at that point. I did speak with the maps department at the county, as Mr. Davison mentioned yesterday. Actually, it was on Friday last week. I spoke with them, and since there's been no modification as far as the lot sizes, the boundary, the lot split itself is the exact same parcel with the exact same boundary lines for all of the new parcels. The only change has been, as was mentioned, was some restrictions that were put onto where driveway access could be on 2 of the newly created parcels. So my position personally from the township is nothing has changed as far as the township is concerned. That's a county engineer issue on those road accesses. So I have already signed the lot split. When I spoke with the maps department, because of that lack of change, originally they were going to accept that alone as the ability to facilitate the actual formalizing of the lot split, since again it wasn't anything that changed map wise. Yesterday they kind of went back on that position and said that they wanted a formal resolution from the board, which is what we were attempting to do today.
Now they're backing off of that as of this
Correct.
morning.
So I don't know what the best solution is for you going forward. If you would like to take the Mylar that just has my signature on it, you're more than welcome to take that to the county and see if they'll process it that way. But that's probably
Because currently the rule states, hey, you can have 2 trustees and the zoning inspector sign off, correct? That's the current rule. But that's not in writing anywhere. Is that anywhere in
Well, that
writing?
is, and let's be clear, that is an administrative rule of the township.
Is that in
So-
writing anywhere, or is that just kind of handed down verbally over time?
That is what the county has on record.
Okay.
I have not done an exhaustive search of
Gotcha.
every last document that's in this building, but there is no prior resolution that outlines that as the process. So where that originates from, whether it was something that was done in meeting minutes previously, and that's one of the reasons why, just on a side tangent, that's one of the reasons why we've pushed this year to do more via resolution, these types of changes, so that they do memorialize when things are done this way, to make it easier on future administrations. Now, that doesn't help your situation in any way, shape, or form, but that's, again, from the county, the last time they were informed by the township. And it is township specific, because like I said, each township, it's not a county rule. The county doesn't require 2 trustees and a zoning inspector to sign off on lot splits. They just require that it be done whichever way each individual township has given them guidance in the past. So, here we are.
Alright, so, yeah, I'm wondering, because you've signed the updated Mylar
I have,
with
and
the
you have,
restrictions.
and you have.
So
the
yeah, if I take
Mylar.
that, let's see. This is what Denise said. Although the tax maps department has clarified that this action is not required, meaning this resolution, the township is elected to do the meeting, which you just did. Upon receipt of the signed survey, legal descriptions with surveyor seal, planning will review the lot split. So, yeah, how about I just take what you signed, Justin,
Okay.
and we'll see if the county,
And I did speak with the prosecutor's office this morning as well, to hopefully expedite the process of them looking at the potential conflict of appointing an interim zoning inspector, which would help alleviate a lot of the issues as well. So as soon as we get clarification back from them, then we can reconvene, and move forward a little bit more comfortably.
okay. Alright, so yeah, if you want to give me what you signed, I'll take it to the county and hopefully we can move forward with this.
Sounds good. Thank you.